it's recording. If that's a problem with anybody, just let me know. I'm going to go around the room, the virtual room, and I'm going to ask you to say who you are, and if you're not from here, from Spain, Catalonia, please say where you're from, and say what you're studying and where you're studying it. And then I'll follow up with questions after that. I'm just going to go around what I see here. So Nuria, you're first. You have to switch your microphone on. Yes, Nuria. Who are you, Nuria?
I'm Nuria.
Nuria.
I'm from Spain.
You're half from Spain.
Well, yes, I was born in Venezuela, but I came to Spain when I was 5 years old. And I'm studying international business and marketing in Pompeu Fabra in Barcelona. Well, I really like it.
Like it? Why do you like it?
At the first moment, I really didn't know what to study because I was always into science. But while I was looking all the possibilities, I saw this career, and I investigate about it. Well, I'm like really social person, so I think that I don't know.
That's fine.
But at the moment, I really like it.
Good. Okay, that's fine. Next, I can see Fiona. Fiona, can you switch your microphone on? Say who you are and where you're studying and what it's like.
So I'm Fiona. I'm from Spain. Like, I lived here all my life and I born here. And I study in Barcelona. I study in ESADE, and I am doing the degree on law.
Great, thank you. By the way, I just have to say welcome to Miss Gazzola, who's there somewhere, and Miss De La Torre. I think you know her.
Hi.
Oh, Miss Garcia is here. So. Diana.
Hey, I'm Diana. I am Russian, but I've been living in Spain for the past 5 years. I study in Barcelona, in Universidad de Barcelona, and my degree is basically international business.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, can you just say if you did IB or BAT?
I did both the first year, and then I left IB, so I was just doing Bachillerato Nacional.
Okay, and Nuria did?
The same as Diana.
And Fiona did?
Just BAT.
Okay. Ana Sens.
Hi. So I'm Ana Sens. I'm Spanish as well. I study at University of Exeter, so in the UK, and I'm studying international relations and modern languages, specifically French.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, international relations is similar to politics.
Great, thank you. Jaume.
Oh yeah, hello everybody. I'm Jaume. I'm from here as well, and I'm studying molecular bioengineering at Imperial College London. So it's an undergraduate which combines a bit of everything that we can choose from all the different natural sciences we work with. A bit of biology and medicine, then with a bit of physics, maths, and working with the molecules of that work in our metabolism mainly.
Thank you. And you did IB or BAT?
I did both during the first year, but then it didn't go well, and then I ended up only doing BAT.
Okay, so he went abroad with BAT. Okay, can be done. Ishika.
Hi, well, my name is Ishika, as you already know, and I'm doing the management of business and administrations, and I'm here in La Salle. And I'm from Spain, originally from India, but I was born here, raised here, and everything from here. But I did IB as well.
Okay, great, thanks. Axel.
My name's Axel. I study Hispanic Studies and Global Sustainable Development at the University of Warwick in England, and I did IB.
Thank you. Alejandro.
Good afternoon, Mr. Day. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm studying video game programming and designing at Universal Art School in Valencia, and I'm currently doing it online until September. And yeah, so far it's going really, really good. I did the IB also.
Great, thank you. Okay, have I missed anybody? I hope not. So let me go to the second round of questions. Before we talk about your life as a student and what you've chosen and so on, I'm going to ask you for your tips, what you should do or not do. And here we're talking to some IB students, some BAT students, some will see the recording of this, and we've got some parents. So do's and don'ts in BAT or in IB. I'm going to go the other way around on my picture here. Ishika.
Okay, so let's start with, okay, so one of the things that I would recommend in IB is do not procrastinate. That's like the worst thing to do in IB, because you're not going to feel the pressure from the beginning. Like IB1 is very light, IB2 starts light, but then all of a sudden all the pressure comes in when you have to deliver the IEAs, the exams, and then you get so stressed that you cannot manage everything. So yeah, that's like my first recommendation. And then, well, yeah, organize yourself. Don't just focus on your studies, but do give yourself time. So.
Great, thanks. Fiona.
I did BAT, so it's not the same as IB. You like get the exams and your grades are like, depends on all the grades you are doing, all the exams count. It's not like the IB. And I would say the same, like do not procrastinate, even though you have the pressure to pass all the exams. I think it is important like to do all things in the right time, and this way when selectividad arrives, all of the knowledge is like really in your mind and you know how to deal with the exams.
Thanks. Axel.
I would recommend, especially in second year, is to start revising early, because even if it sounds really difficult to do because the exams are still months away, I started with maths, which was like one of the only subjects I properly revised in maybe end of December, beginning of January. And I think if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have got the grade I got, or else it would have been a disaster. So it's important to revise in your own time, even if it's like ages away.
And you can say that you started revising because your maths grade was looking a disaster, but you converted it into success. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuria.
I recommend, well, on the Bachillerato Nacional, to get the best grade you can, because it's really important, like the final mark, because it's the 60% of your grade of selectividad. And well, try to really focus on it, because it's a lot of stuff to memorize and learn.
Okay, good. Diana.
I pretty much agree with everything that was already mentioned, because we pretty much did like the same thing. But what I would say is that in Bachillerato Nacional, it's like a really good practice to do the past papers before like the exams or like the actual selectividad. So yeah, there's that. And then just to keep up and not like leave everything like, you know, on the last day.
Great. Anna.
So I think what Diana said was actually really good for IB as well. So the first thing I was going to say is, like you said, don't procrastinate, but obviously that means be aware that you have exams, even if you don't feel the pressure. Pace yourself. We come from SO4 being used to having exams at the end of each topic. So even if those exams don't actually count for IB, use them to actually study that. And then once you get to exams, you at least have notes on each subject, which you can then use again, instead of having to revise everything from start to finish. And then, yeah, what Diana said, obviously IB has a very set structure for for the IB exams. So just completely get used to the structure of IB exams, because even though the content changes, the structure never does.
Exam practice. Yeah. Okay, Alejandro, your advice.
Yeah, honestly, look, I like to think of the IB like a big elephant, right? If you were to eat an elephant all at once, it would be really, really hard. But if you cut it into slices, like really small pieces, at the end of the year, then you would probably eat it. And that's my recommendation. You know, like treat the IB more as of a divide your time wisely between your.
Would it be fair to say, Alejandro, that you didn't work very hard in the first year, but you did in the second year? Is that true?
That is 100% true.
Yeah. So do you have
And
any regrets
paid
there, or
off.
did it work for you?
No, I mean it paid off. Of course, it paid off for my final grade. However, I still put a lot of effort to my second year, so I managed to get through it.
Yeah. Anna.
Yeah,
Advice.
so for me, a couple of things. Try to organize yourself as best as you can. Try to look what you can do every day and just to feel productive. The second thing is to make the best of every subject. You can learn something from everything. And it's really interesting if you try to look at this kind of little details which make you feel wise, or at least a bit clever every day. Because at the end, when you are, for example, I'm trying to be a scientist one day, but I'll need to know the ethics that come from the philosophy to make right choices. And I also need the language to write pretty nice essays in order to express my knowledge to others, which don't have the same content as me. And the third thing is be nice to others. Just enjoy yourself. Be nice to others. Be helpful. Just try to create a nice atmosphere, to a good place to work and to develop yourself the best you can. That would be it.
Great, thanks. Now, so getting on to what you study, can I start with Diana? Diana, how did you choose what you're studying today? How did you reach that decision?
Well, in my case, it was pretty much that I like descartado lo que no me gustaba. So, for example, like biology is definitely not mine. Then,
By elimination.
huh?
By eliminating the other subjects.
Yeah, exactly. Like by the process of elimination. So and like business is always the base of everything. Like anywhere you look, there's business. Like you know, business has been there for yeah, this.
And are you happy with your choice?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I actually didn't expect the degree to be that difficult and that like hard, but it's good. It's fun.
Thank you. Anna, how did you make your choice?
So what I actually did, because I found it really hard to choose until it was pretty late, I actually talked to some of the alumni about their experiences at uni, because like Diana said, at the beginning, it's a process of elimination. When you don't know where to start, the first thing you do is decide which ones you're sure you don't want to do. And then from the ones you end up with, you kind of have to think, okay, which ones do I like? Which ones would I enjoy ending up working with at the once I get out of uni? And yeah, I think my choice was mostly done through talking to lots of alumni and what their experiences were, and then thinking about what I liked the most and what I could see myself doing.
And do you still like it now? Do you like what you're studying?
Yes, I do regret not studying, not looking into other things, because I didn't have enough time. So I didn't actually start thinking about what I wanted to do at uni until it was a bit too late to start getting in depth into other subjects as well.
So what's your advice to,
but definitely no regrets about what I actually chose.
So your advice to IB1 students who are finishing IB1 now?
It's start thinking now. Start thinking now, because you will have more of a choice and you'll have more knowledge on what your choices are.
Okay, great, thanks. Alejandro, how did you choose to do video gaming then?
See, I always wanted to study something related to video games or robots or something like this. So when I was really small, I wanted to be a robot engineer. But of course, you have to have a lot of knowledge for that and a lot of studies. So then I decided maybe I could try computer engineering. So that's what I started doing in September, which I went to La Salle, and I did computer engineering over there. And in February, when I did my exams, I realized how much pressure and really all the responsibility that you have and all the dedication you have to like give on your subjects. So I ended up dropping from La Salle, and I did my first option, which was actually video game programming and designing. So that's sort of how it led. My advice would be don't be really scared of trying something because, well, life is very long and you can always like discard options, you know.
And life is a series of coincidences and chances, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
It's not a straight line. Jaume, how did you choose what you chose? Jaume. Hi, Jaume. Hello? I think he can't hear. Oh, he's gone. Ishika, how did you choose what you chose?
I mean, I had interest in business from a very young age, and that's basically because I was influenced by my family, and like I've been working and like, well, not working but helping my parents with their business. So my interest started from there at a very young age, and I kind of already knew that I wanted to do business. The only problem that I had, I didn't know where to go, like which field to choose in business. So I did like an administration, which focuses on every area. And now like first year of college, now I pretty much know where to focus after doing a little bit of everything.
And where will that be?
I mean, I'm thinking of management.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
You've got a degree which is general and lets you focus.
Yeah, usually first year starts very general when you have everything like just done for you. You don't have to choose any subjects or anything. So it's very simple. And then second year just starts getting a lot more pressure and a lot more decisions that you have to make.
Okay, great. Fiona, how did you choose law?
Well, I did the same as most of us, like process of elimination. So maths were not my thing. So I decided to not go to maths or biology or anything. So then within all the degrees in like letters, if you can say that, or most literature or things like this, I thought that law would like fit more with what I feel like doing later on, because I didn't feel like being I don't know, teacher or something like with like a language. I prefer to do something that has no maths, but at the same time has like something like more open to do more like different works.
Okay, question. Studying law, does that mean you'll become a lawyer?
No, doesn't mean.
What might it mean?
There is like multiple options. Obviously, my degree and my university is like kind of focused on trying to push you to be a lawyer or something like this, but you can create a business or whatever, because you know like a lot of business, because I do economy and economics, and it's like you can do whatever you want.
Okay, Alma, how did you choose your course?
So, well, since I was very young, I was this naughty little kid that was always asking questions about everything. So then I realized that science was my thing because I could try to explain these questions that were coming up to my mind. And then afterwards, then I started looking, when I was at my first year of bachelorette, I started looking at some options like biotechnology or chemistry or something related to that. But then I realized that some parts were, I was leaving some parts behind, like for example, a bit of physics or a nice understanding of maths. That's why I wanted to keep with the biology and some medicine, which is the subject I was liking the most. But then I wanted the backup of the knowledge coming from other subjects. That's why I ended up doing bioengineering, because you have the maths and a bit of mechanics and physics with the medicine and the molecular part, which I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where this will lead you?
Well, not now. I'm thinking about maybe doing medicine after 4 years, so then I can start my PhD on a research in the own department. then I can go abroad and do a year in industry. I can work for an industry, which, for example, pharmaceutical industry or chemical industry, everything related to that. Or if I want, I can become a professor at a college.
You can go and solve some pandemics.
Of course, work on some coronavirus specimens, of course. Yeah.
How did you choose global sustainable development?
I actually found out about my degree at the British University Fair in Barcelona when we went in October of that too. So I didn't know about it until then, and I found it quite interesting. And as I researched more into it, I saw you could do like joint degrees, and so I decided to choose to do Hispanic studies with it because I wanted to keep up my Spanish, and also Hispanic studies isn't just the language, it's also the culture as well. So that interested me as well quite a lot.
Thank you. Nuria.
I decided my career because I have always been interested in relationships, in the relations between countries and traveling too. But well, as I said, I have always liked science. So at the beginning of the second year of bachillerato, I was really confused. So I decided to try economics in the second year and see if I like it. So later I saw the career I'm studying, and I said that that it has really professional opportunities. Well, I thought that this will be the best option.
Thanks. Now, I'm going to ask you about your personal statement. So wherever you went, I think everybody had to write some kind of statement about themselves, because increasingly universities and employers everywhere don't just want a robot. They want somebody who's a real person and has done something in life and shows that they can think and analyze. And even if they haven't done amazing things, but they can say something intelligent about themselves and how they've responded and how they feel about the world. Can you tell me one or two things that you mentioned in your personal statement, or things that you said about you, which maybe they asked you about in an interview, or advice to IB1 students going into IB2 or SO4 going into IB or BAT? Advice on what they should do to have a good personal statement, to make you different to the next person. I'll start with Anna.
So I was just thinking, basically the main point of a personal statement is expressing the reason why you want to do that degree and in that university. So what universities actually want to see is you showing your interest for that subject. They'll get your grades eventually. Your grades, in that case, the number, as in the grades, the number, they're not necessarily interested in that for the personal statement. They want you to show your interest, why, how you developed that interest, and why you want to become, or what you want to become once you have that degree.
Okay. Diana, did you have to write a statement for your university?
No, sadly, and unfortunately, Spanish education only depends, like, it only looks at the grades we get. So there was literally no reflection of myself or my personality or what I do outside the school, and the only thing they look at is my grades. So.
But when you go for a job, they will.
I'm sure they will.
Nuria, did you have to write a statement?
No, I as same like Diana.
Okay, Axel.
I had to write 2 personal statements. So I wrote the first one, which was like Anna and Jaume and anyone else who applied to a British university through UCAS. And then because my degree is quite unique, you could say, because there's not really any subjects you have to do to get into it, I had to write another one with like questions that they asked me, kind of to like highlight my interest in why I wanted to do this specific degree.
Fiona?
I'm also in the Spanish system, so like my university is private, so they ask you to like do a brief introduction of yourself and like say why do you want to study this and what do you want to do with your life. But I don't think like the grades are kind of more important.
And did you have an interview as well?
No, I didn't. I just did the exam for the university.
Okay, thanks. Ishika.
So I wrote a personal statement because I also applied to British universities through UCAS, and but then I didn't go there at the end. But for La Salle, they did an interview, and basically what they asked me is my contributions to business or anything related to that, and how I started liking business, what influenced me, and all those kind of things. So basically, it's not just about your grades, as everybody said. It's about what you like and how you contribute to it.
Thanks. Jaume?
So despite of my classmates has said, I would recommend you to try to depict the whole picture of yourself. Like, I remember when I was working it with Mr. Day, and it was like telling the story of your life, but only the interesting bits to them. So a bit of what you've worked on. For example, I did an internship during the summer from first to second year of Bachillerat to work on a company and to start. And I started to be related with a scientific context and then so I had to explain that because that's some experience you've had on the matter, on the subject, as well the things you like, things you enjoy. If you in my case, if you're a scientist but you like reading or you enjoy philosophy or you like playing football, just leave it there. They are really interested on seeing that you can give them not only your knowledge, not only your mind, or not only your technical tools or technical abilities, that are also interested to see how you can invest on the environment as a whole, in a society, like in the uni society. So that's also important.
I think, if I remember, Jaume, your personal statement included acting in Shakespeare. Now you might think, what's
to
do with studying science? That precisely is something which shows that he's a round person and has multiple interests, and they love that kind of thing. And
talking about that, it's really interesting when you put, if it's true, you do arts, of you like writing, because they see that despite of knowing, you'll be able to talk in public and you'll be able to write proper essays, so that they are interested in that kind of details as well.
Talking in public is a really good one, because that's something we do in the school, Socrates Educa. It's IB in particular, and standing up and presenting. Is that something you have to do in your universities? Generally, is that what most of you have to do? You do, yeah. Maybe.
Well,
no, yes, no, maybe sometimes. Alejandro, did you have to do some kind of personal statement or to get onto your courses?
Yeah, I think I did one or two. I can't really remember very well.
I'm sure you did.
But one thing for sure is when you do a personal statement, you really have to tell them your strengths, your weaknesses, your goals, and how you want to achieve them in general. And also for my last personal statement for the video game programming course that I'm doing, they really like if you're like public with your work, in a way that, for example, if you have like some projects going on like behind IB or whatever, you have like some spare time and you dedicate it in your whatever it is, your hobby or whatever, then they really like if you're like public about it and you can show them and you can like have a portfolio, online portfolio with your works and all this stuff, you know.
I think
that's for my environment, you know, which is more ICT, more like something visual, which is like a video game. If it's another art, it's probably different.
I think Alejandro's made a couple of very good points here, and I'm talking specifically to the younger students. Identifying your strengths, what you're good at, and weaknesses, which somebody else said, look, I'm not good at maths, I'm not going to study maths, or I'm good at maths, I want to focus on it, or other outside school activities. And knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are is a strength. Knowing your weaknesses is a strength.
Exactly.
And the other point that he made is being able to prove your interest. Right? Just being good at school is great, but saying, and I've done a project, obviously something technical gives you those opportunities, but I've done something related to what I'm studying, what I'm interested in. And if you haven't done or created something, maybe you read something, or maybe you watched something, might even just be a film or something, or you met somebody or talked to them. And having an interest outside just exams is really important. And if you're in school now, then in the summer holidays, and particularly now since we're at home, you've got time to do that kind of thing. And you can research from your own room. You don't have to travel to do things or go out to do things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Were you the last one in that round? I think so.
And also, Mr. Day,
Yeah.
I would like to add, I don't think you really have to be afraid of your weaknesses either, because, for example, in my case, I really like math, but I'm not a 10 out of 10 student in math. And either way, I still applied for computer engineering. You know, I sort of expected what was going to happen, but I still tried. And out of my 8 classes, I only passed like 3, I think. But yeah, it is what it is. So it doesn't matter. Just try.
I'm going to ask you now something a little bit different, which is which life skills have you learned since you left school? So I'm saying things which the school didn't teach you, which you needed for your life in general, which the school could maybe teach you, but just the kind of things which, again, students now who have got time because they're not traveling, they're not out, then they could learn. Axel, what have you learned to do since you left home?
Maybe budgeting my money, because that's something at home. Well, your parents buy you the food, they make the food, and like your spare time, your parents can like give you the money. But when you're on your own, it's you who has to decide like how much food you're going to buy, how much you're willing to spend on something, and going out or doing sociable things. Like I think that was like something that I kind of learned myself. Also, you gave me a budgeting sheet to keep track of things, but you have to learn that yourself, I guess. I don't know if you can get taught that, but there's good hacks, like having like a spreadsheet, like keeping track of how much you're spending, because if you don't do that, you just kind of goes everywhere.
Maybe Miss Garcia, there's a course for us. Fiona, what have you learned?
Well, I'm staying in a residence, so the things of cooking on all these things, it is done for me. But next year I'll probably go on a flat, on an apartment. So for now, I would say that to organize because in school you are 8 hours, like in school, so you're like doing all your homework and things, and you're like more focused. But in university, I do sometimes 2 hours of university, sometimes 4, sometimes it depends on the day. So you need to like be really organized and more in law to get all your things done.
Great, thanks. Ishika, what life skills have you learned?
I mean, I'm still living with my family, not my parents, but my uncle and aunt. And I mean, it's a different environment, so it's like a new skill that you have to learn but I've never lived in Barcelona, and Barcelona is like chaotic compared to Salou, which is very peaceful and everything. So living with that is different. And then with your parents, it's obviously your comfort zone, and being with my family still is still in my comfort zone, but it's kind of different because I've not lived with them like from a very young age. So yeah, and in terms of money and everything, it's still so controlled by my parents. Like I don't spend anywhere, and food is like not a problem to me because my uncle and aunt, they organize everything. So yeah, I'm still with my family, so it's not a problem to me.
Nuria, what have you learned in life apart from studying?
I learned that, well, you should have like a good administration of time, because at the moment that you are leaving home, you don't have anybody to tell you you have to do everything. Study or whatever. So while you have freedom, so I think that you shouldn't forget that you're not at home, just for like party or like that stuff. Like you are in another, well, in the university for study. So you shouldn't forget this.
Diana, what have you learned? You've learned to drive, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, last year. I mean, that might sound silly, but I learned how to use public transport because my dad used to like drive me to all places like for the past 5 years. And since I got my license, I drive myself and I take like public transport in Barcelona. And then I had to like learn how to get this card to use like in metro, like subway, bus, etc. And then also, like what Excel said, keep track of things you do like on a daily basis. Just like, for example, simple activities as getting groceries on your way back, because like you don't have eggs and like you want eggs.
You don't buy food you don't eat.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There's that.
Okay, great. Anna, did I ask you?
No. I was thinking, so yeah, Excel said budgeting, which is very important, but I was also thinking within budgeting, there's meal planning, knowing when to food shop. Maybe if you can go to the supermarket while the things you need are on sale or they have 20% less, that means one more night of going out, maybe, who knows. Meal planning as well, eating out of the house is really expensive. It starts adding up and you can feel it after a month. You learn to meal plan. Obviously, if you don't know how to cook, you kind of have to learn, especially if you're not in residence, because it depends as well. For instance, in England, you can end up in accommodation where you get your meals cooked or you don't. So I had to cook for myself.
So it's a choice to make before you go to your university.
Yeah.
Whether you want to have somebody cooking for you, whether you live with your family, or whether you want to do all your cooking, which is a lot of work.
Exactly. And in England, you automatically, after the second year, you kind of have to look for your own house or flat. So even if you don't do it the first year, you end up doing it the second year.
Alejandro, life skills you've learned?
So many, I don't know where to start, actually. I think one very important thing is commitment, I think. Is to know how many amount of hours you have to dedicate to specific things. Do you get me a bit?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And can you cook?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I can cook very good pasta.
We'll come round. Do students eat a lot of pasta, or do they eat steak?
I eat pasta a lot.
Right.
But right now, my mother is giving me so much food. I've never eaten so much, you know?
Okay, thanks. Jaume, life skills you've learned in London?
Yeah, so I was living in the same place as Anna, like accommodation that I had to cook by myself, to clean my stuff, and to do everything by myself. And then I really agree with Ishika. That was really interesting because you learn how to overcome little challenges or your day-to-day routine. It's like Darwin's natural selection. You adapt or you go away. And then you just learn how to cook. I learned a lot. Learn what to eat. I remember I didn't used to spend enough money on my food, so then I had to plan myself. I had to eat more because I was doing more exercise, and I wasn't realizing because I had to work more because I was living in a city. I was not living in a little town. And then at the beginning, it was difficult to me to. London was so everything was going so quickly, and then I was a bit lost, and then I had to see where to go and where to do things, like going to Sainsbury's, going groceries, or having to do a couple of things. But that was the first time, and then everything settles, and then you can start again.
Can I just ask you if you live in a city, a big city, a small town, medium town, a campus, or what? Nuria, you live in the middle of Barcelona?
Yes, I'm living next to Sagrada Familia. I'm in a flat with a friend of my mom.
Okay.
And I'm really good. I thought that it will be like strange because the most part of the people that is going to the university, the first year is living in a residence.
Yeah.
And I thought that I would meet a lot of people, but with the pass of the time, I meet a lot of a lot of people. So I'm really good.
Okay. Diana, you're in the city, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, for half a year, I was taking the train, I was going by my car, then taking the train. So I was living in Cambrils. But a while ago, I moved to Barcelona and like I live in a flat by myself.
Do you prefer that?
It's better for my time schedule because I literally wake up at 9 instead of 6:30. But I miss my family, but it's okay. Yeah.
Anna, you're living in?
I live on a campus, but because of how the campus is, it's right next to town. So some accommodations are right on campus, so like 5 minutes away from classes, and mine is 15 minutes away. But everything is like 20 minutes. My accommodation is 20 minutes from campus, 20 minutes from town. So everything's really close together.
Okay. Alejandro, you're living?
Right now, I'm living with my parents here in Gavà due to the virus. However, in September, if everything goes well, I'll be going to Valencia and I'll be sharing an apartment with a couple of classmates.
Okay. Axel?
I live on a campus and it's not really close to it's close to a town, but you have to take a bus to get there. So it's not like Anna where the campus is in the town, it's kind of on the outside of the town.
Is it good living on a campus?
Yeah, I really enjoy it because especially in the first year, you get to meet everyone, but everyone's in the same place. So you don't get lost and it's nice to just walk around and see everyone.
Fiona?
I live in Barcelona in a residence, and it's like really near my university. It's like 15 minutes walking. But next year, I think I'll go in an apartment.
Jama?
Now I'm in Amposta due to the virus, but then I live in central London, in South Kensington. I was living in an accommodation hall just in front of my uni, a 3 minutes walk.
3 minutes. So what time do you have to get up in the mornings?
8:39 if I was lucky.
Not bad. Shika?
I was really lucky.
I live in the city of Barcelona, close to La Rambla, and planning on staying there for the 4 years.
Okay. At this point, I've got more questions, but are there questions from the parents, from the families, from the teachers, from the students? If you have a question, just call it out or put your hand up.
I have a question.
Okay, Claudia first. Yeah.
Do you think when you were studying for your exams and you actually had your exams, did they were they what you expected in IB?
You mean difficult or?
Like what you did in class and stuff and the exams you were set in class, were they similar to what your final ones were? Or were they much different or what?
I mean, the structure is pretty much the same because if you do past exams of IB, then the structure is always the same. And the difficulty level might change a little bit, but usually it's the same.
And do you know what to expect in selectivitat? Same question?
Yeah, absolutely. They just follow the same scheme, and then you go over the questions. You try to answer them the best as you can, and if you have studied all the content, you should be all right.
Okay.
I would also recommend to look at the mark scheme for IB. So, for example, business, what I did was look at the mark scheme, and so practice lots of past papers, but make sure you know how it's marked, because that's one thing that helped me.
Great.
Especially because there's a difference between exams like maths and then exams like business, which is what Excel was saying, because Business is mostly essays, which are harder to mark or harder to know if it's right or not, because it's mostly based on how you write as well as the content. Whereas maths, you either use the right formula and you get the right answer. So that's why it's also very important to know the mark scheme. Yeah.
Great, thanks. May, did you have a question? Unmute your microphone.
Hear me?
Yes, hi May.
Okay, hi. This is May. I am Dairon's mom. Dairon is in third ESO right now. You know, Dairon? And he wants to study abroad, obviously in UK or United States. And my question is if it's really necessary to study the IB bachelor, or is not necessary if you can study the Spanish BAT?
Well,
because he's very focused in going outside to study.
Jama, did you want to say something? Oh, he disappeared. Jama?
No, yeah, sorry. How is he? How is he doing? Sorry. How is Darian doing?
Darren.
He's now doing his homework.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. That's important.
He wants to study biotechnology. By the moment,
well,
he's like you. He's very scientific. He likes maths, physics, and all that.
Okay.
So
send my best wishes to him.
Okay, I tell him.
Okay.
Answering the question there, Jama, you had a choice of IB and BAT.
Yeah. So at the beginning, I thought that you need to do IB in order to go abroad, but the system is not essential you to do IB in order to get into the system. The important is that the school is inside the system, so you can, as one of the students, you can get into it and fill in the form and go study in the UK if you like to. So the main thing is that what I would recommend him is that he to do whatever he prefers. For example, in bachillerat, in my bachillerat, you do more content, so you learn you learn a lot of content, but then some of different skills, you need to learn them by yourself or during your first year at university. On the other hand, on IB, I think that you learn less content, but at the same time, they give you other tools you can use in order to do exams or some presentations or express yourself, which that's also quite important. So just whatever he prefers. If he really likes science and he wants to learn a lot about science and he's ready and he can work by himself, like how to write better essays or how to do better presentations or how to learn other skills or day-to-day skills, then I would recommend him to go for bachillerat. If instead he'll prefer to learn it during the first year of uni and he'll like to learn different skills, I would suggest to go for IB from my own perspective, as I've done both.
And you, what did you do?
At the end, I did bachillerat.
And then when you get to a UK university, you have to pass an exam or what?
No, the important thing is that if you have the grades, you get in. And then the only thing is you'll need an English level. They request me to have the advanced. It depends on the uni. But no, that's fine.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And did you have a personal interview as well, Jama?
Oh yeah. I had to fly before Christmas on my second year, and then to the university for an interview.
Was the interview difficult?
Yes, it was technical. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it's college, you know, but you know,
yeah.
But nevertheless, people.
It's not a piece of cake. It's not a piece of cake.
Not a piece of cake, but people are ambitious and they go there.
No.
So
Sorry.
People are ambitious and they realize their ambitions.
You have to try. And then an interesting tip that I like to say for the ones who are going to be taking interviews is try to keep pushing. Just keep pushing. Maybe the answer is wrong, and maybe you think they're giving you a lot of hints, but just keep trying to answer the questions with whatever knowledge you have. Just try. That's important, because whether the reason is wrong, whether the result is wrong, if your reasoning is acceptable, you can pass as well. You can pass the interview.
Looking for the thinking processes, aren't they? Other questions we have? Question? If not, I do. Okay, let me ask you. So you left your school, your town, your family to go to study in a place where maybe you didn't know anybody. How easy was it to make friends, and how did you make friends? Anna, can I ask you?
So in England, the first year students actually get to uni a week before everyone else for something which is called Freshers Week, where you basically get introduced to the course. But Freshers Week is based around you getting to know the university, the people you're staying with, and basically making friends. The whole week is based on you getting comfortable at university before you actually start the university course, which I think is a very good idea and actually works perfectly fine. That's the way I made most of my friends I still have now.
Fiona, in Barcelona, in Xerrada, was it easy to make friends?
Yes, I'm in a residence, so when you get there, well, I knew people that were in this residence, like Maria Cox or other people that were in AIC also, but it is like really easy because they do like a lot of activities to meet people. In the university, it's not like this. It's like the first day you can actually talk with someone, but the second day it's class. So it's not like the freshers week or anything, but like as time goes by, you get to know people.
Ishika, did you meet people easily?
I mean, yeah, I did meet people easily, and we also had a welcome week in our college where we met many people from the same degree, because our degree has like 4 groups. So the first week was basically everybody together performing different activities and meeting new people. And then when that week ended, we just went to our classes. But at that point, everybody knew everyone, and we all became friends.
Okay, I'm going to change the question slightly. Diana, what scared you most about leaving home, going off to university? What made you most nervous?
That's a really good question. What scared me the most? Probably like living by myself and like having the whole control of having more control of my life, because every decision I take obviously depends on me, but since now I'm literally on my own, it's more responsibility, I'd say.
Alejandro, what scared you most about leaving school and moving on? Need the microphone, please.
I'm not sure, actually. I would say one thing that I was a bit worried, not scared, but worried, is of having bad teachers. Because I think good teachers are super, super, super important for your development in your career or whatever you're studying. So I had a bit of a worry that maybe I would have a bad teacher that would stay like with a whole year with me or 2 years, and that would, I don't know, that's just my opinion. But luckily I've gotten really, really, really good teachers, so it's all good.
Okay, great. Anna, what worried you about leaving the country to go to another country?
Me?
Yeah, Anna.
Oh, thing is, I'd already lived in England before I came to AIC, so I don't think I was actually that worried about the culture. I think I was more worried about living with people I didn't know at all, because my accommodation was actually a house and it was just 6 of us, and we all share the same kitchen, even if we all have different sinks, but we all share the same kitchen, and we share bathrooms between 2 or 3 of us. So I think I was kind of worried about the housing situation, yeah, because it can create kind of a lot of tension. I have a few friends who don't get along with their housemates because they're not exactly clean people.
Different levels of cleanliness, okay.
Yeah.
So what made you nervous about going off to university?
I would probably say the same as Anna, but I think I got a bit more lucky because our residence wasn't a house, it was like a block, and it was like called flats. So I just shared the kitchen, I had my own bathroom. But I think also I was worried about not making friends as easy, but if you just put yourself out there, even if you're a bit nervous to do it, it's easy to make friends because everyone's in the same situation.
Nuria, easy to make friends, or was that a worry?
Well, in Pompeo, we start like the 20th of September, like where it's really late compared with the other Barcelona universities. So I was really worried the first weeks of class because I saw all my friends meeting people and like going party or whatever, and I was home because I didn't know really good a lot of people. So I was like, oh my god, I'm not going to make friends. But with the pass of the weeks, this changed.
Okay. Last question. Do you miss your school? Get the answer right. No, seriously, do you miss your families? Anna, do you miss your family?
Yeah.
Your sister's listening, by the way.
No, she knows. I think you get used to it. It's something you kind of have to get used to. I think what I actually miss the most is having small classes and getting to know the teachers, because once you get to uni, it also depends on which course you're doing, on how the university does it. But I think most English universities have lectures, and then they have smaller groups in which you can go more in depth. And then the lecturers you'd never actually get to know that well unless you go up front and actually talk to them and say, hi, I'm this student, I'm really interested in your subject. So you kind of have to get yourself out there and kind of network a bit. Whereas at school you could just, the teachers knew you and you knew the teachers and you knew students like a grade above you, a grade below you, and everyone knew who was who. Whereas at uni, you kind of can be in the same lecture as 100 more people, and maybe you know 3 of them.
Let me ask Jama that one. Jama, you're in a very big university, in a very, very big city, a very, very famous university, but it's a huge university with a big reputation. Was that scary?
Oh yeah, it was at the beginning. I was scared of feeling alone first, and then when I realized where I was going, I was scared of being the last one in my class. So everyone I met, brilliant people, really intelligent people and fascinating people. Even I went to an extra lecture, and then I remember the lecturer name all my life because she was, well, fascinating. And some of classmates of mine, they were coming from all around the world, and they had so much experiences. And then I was first I was afraid of not being able to deal with the amount of pressure I was facing because of the place I was being.
Mm-hmm. But you cope.
But I cope. Yeah. No, it's not that bad. Then you realize you have your own strength points as well, and then you meet the others. And when you start studying, you can do it. You have the knowledge and you have the tools enough to do it. Yeah.
The fact is, if they didn't think you could do it, they wouldn't take you to these places, which is true. And it feels a step up. Listen, when you're in primary 6, you think SO1 is a big deal. When you're in SO3, you think SO4 and BAT 1 is the big deal. When you're in BAT and IB, you think, well, university. And then next, well, what's next? Look, we've done an hour now. If there are any more questions, we can take them. If anybody wants to sit back and chat after we close the meeting, then do. But apart from that, I will just unmute everybody and can we give them a round of applause, please, to our students. Very much. Thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you so much.
Very helpful. Very, very good.
Thank you very much.
People need to go find. If there's anybody who wants to stay and ask a question, then do. That was really useful, really interesting, and I'm sure it's going to help our students a lot and the teachers, because from a teacher's point of view, it's so good to hear these impressions and experiences. Mar's here. Hello, Mar.
Hello. How are you?
Mar misses you.
Ah, good.
Yeah, don't you miss them, Mar? Okay, good. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll invite you back for lunch at Christmas, as always. But I'm sure I'm sure there is a future in doing this kind of meeting, and it's so valuable for the students and parents. I think. May, would you say it's useful to have this kind of meeting?
Very, very useful, and very. I am very impressed of all of the students, because some of them I knew since they were very young, and it's very grateful and encouraging for, I think, for me and what I expect of my son.
Well, then you can project him,
Yes.
Boy, he's a big boy. You think he's taller than you, taller than me, probably. And he's going to be sitting on the other side of the screen quite soon, telling us about his life.
And all the thing is that I studied 40 years ago when I finished my university studies. And another thing is that this generation is much more prepared. So I am very proud of seeing that.
Yes, I think these guys are prepared and they cope. But it's a very different world, and it's a very unexpected.
Yes, for sure.
And they're traveling a long way to, quite exotic places and having quite.
I remember when you start working with the iPad. For me, was a big complication. Yeah. And now I see that you are very well prepared for the situation we are living at this moment. And we are very, how do you say, afortunados.
Lucky.
Yes, very lucky. And a lot of parents tell me that I am very lucky of having this kind of education, for my son. And I think that we did a big deal at the moment, and now we see the results. So very proud, yes.
Hugo, have you got your hand up?
Yeah, I wanted to know how many universities did you apply for?
Are we talking about UK, Spain?
Well, when you apply to a university, how many do you apply for?
Okay, Diana, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, okay. I'm in Spanish university, so I pretty much applied to two, the best in top 10 universities in Spain, to Universidad de Barcelona and Pompeu Fabra. But I did apply to different courses, to different degrees. So in total I had 5-ish different degrees into different universities.
And you can apply for different degrees in the same university as well.
Yeah.
Anna, how many did you apply for?
So I applied through UCAS. So you apply for 5 in total, and then you end up going back down to 3, and then 2, 1 being your first choice, then your second choice, and then that's when you know if you get in or not, and depending on offers as well.
Mm-hmm. Sarah, how many did you apply for?
I applied for 5, like Anna, 3 UCAS. Mm-hmm. Well, I applied really to 3 different universities, but like Diana, I applied for 2 courses in the same university.
Ashika, how did you manage that?
I applied through UCAS for 5 universities because you have to, and then 2 here in Barcelona, La Salle, and the EU school, which is professional for business.
So you can apply in different countries. Ashika applied in the UK and in Spain. And then you make your decision when you make your decision, and that's totally acceptable. Jaume, did you do both?
Yeah, I did the same as Ishika. And even if you like, you can apply for 2 courses at the same university. And I did that as well.
Yeah, me too. I did that.
Mm-hmm. And Fiona, was that easy for you?
I applied just for 1, and I knew I was in March, so I didn't apply for anything more.
Okay, who else did we ask? Nuria? Did you apply for universities or just 1?
I applied for 4 different courses. There was no any relationship between them, but I just hope that, well, my first option was that I really wanted to.
And did you get it?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Alejandro?
Yeah, I think I just applied for one last year, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
I had it really clear, so
yeah.
It was that or.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Hugo?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
Other questions? Any other questions?
Teachers. Questions from teachers, no?
Teachers, ask some questions, teachers.
No, I don't have any question. I'm just feel so proud, so happy to see you all and see that you are happy, whatever you're doing, and seeing you growing up and just becoming just serious and responsible people once for all. So, no, that's lovely.
You could ask him for his homework.
Maybe not.
Okay, good. Well, if there are more questions, please ask them. If not, then I'll close the meeting. Any other parents like to ask anything? Did anybody apply for any universities not in Spain or UK? Not in this group. Last week we had somebody in Germany. Okay, good. Well, in that case...
Yesterday, Ms. Jaume wanted to say something.
Jaume, yeah.
Sí. Primer, Miss Astrid, m'encanten les teves ulleres noves. Això, ho
Molt
tenia
guapa,
aquí,
molt
perdona.
guapa.
Sí, la veritat és que li queden molt bé. I llavors, com esteu? Mira, veig la Raquel aquí també. Abans que no s'acabi això tan fred. Allò, com esteu? Com porteu la quarantena? Una mica tots.
Tots molt bé, Jaume. Gràcies.
Ah, me n'alegro. No, és que vos he vist i m'ha fet tanta il·lusió que dic no me'n puc anar sense dir res.
Gràcies.
No, I'm waiting for next year's postcard for Christmas.
Sempre. Tradició, és tradició. Tradition.
No, I'm happy to see you all. I mean, you know, being your tutor last year was not easy. Going with many of you to Austria and SO4 was also not easy, but it made me grow as a person, as a teacher, as a professional, and
your patience.
Yeah. No, but I'm really happy. Yeah, I'm really happy to see you all, to see how you've changed over the past months, the kind of messages you're giving now to BAT and IB students and SO3, SO4, when like maybe you were crying 1.5 years ago and just worrying because you didn't have enough time to go to the cinema or you had all those assignments to do, and now you're saying like you really matured a lot. And there's one thing that Alejandro mentioned, which I really liked, and it's don't be afraid of trying things and don't be afraid of failure, because for him changing a major might seem a failure for some people, but it is also a great opportunity and a great challenge. And at the same time, no, like many of you mentioned starting BAT and IB, both degrees in the first year, and then dropping one of them. By the way, SO3 and SO4 students, we don't allow that anymore. But for them, dropping one was not a failure. It was a decision, and it was a challenge as well. Because after you've been working hard on things for more than a year, like suddenly abandoning one might seem like you haven't done enough. But there's always the other side of the coin. So mistakes are there to learn from, and failure is there to make us grow. And I'm seeing all that in you now. So I'm really happy.
And that is being strong. And it happens to people in university. And after a year or more, they do a massive change. And no, it's not a failure. You have to learn of life. Learn life as a long route, not just a line. and it's an experience and it's a journey, and every part of that is useful.
Yeah,
So
it's a way to mature.
Part of what you're doing, then you've got to be tough, like somebody like Alejandro, and make a decision and say, no, I need to change it. There'll be another option, and you've got ways of managing that. And what you've done is never wasted or lost. Hugo, a question?
No.
Oh, your hand's up. Sorry, that's all.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you take IB and you apply for universities here in Spain, how does the conversion work?
Astrid.
Yes, there's a system for conversion through UNED. So what UNED does is UNED takes your IB grades and transforms them into a 1 to 10 scale. There's a conversion table available for that. And then once you've got your grade out of 10, you can either straight away apply for universities in Spain, or you can decide to go to the fase específica in the PAU or EBAU exams if you want to get like extra credits. So this is a process that I think Alejandro was a little bit late, but not too late. We applied together, if I don't remember wrongly, like it was some time around February or March. He told me that he wanted to apply in Spain, so we sat down together, looked at it, applied together, and then he didn't need the extra credits, so he didn't do PAU. But for example, Olga did do PAU to get extra grades. So that's also, I mean, that's part of the support that you get in school. So you don't need to worry about that too much. You just need to know that whether like it doesn't matter whether you do BAT or IB, you've got chances to go abroad or stay in Spain, as you have many examples here. No, Jaume finished with BAT and ended up in Imperial College, and Ishika finished IB and is now in La Salle, right? So we will just help you to get wherever you want with whatever you've got.
Thank you.
Any other questions for you?
Sorry, I need to leave, but it has been a pleasure. So thanks for doing these things. I think it's really helpful.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Thank you for joining. I know you're busy. Fiona's on holiday. She's studying. She's had an exam.
Yes.
Well,
thank you. Bye.
Bye. Fiona, nice to see you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions there? The business of traveling to other countries, for example, the UK at the moment, and Brexit, we don't know exactly how that will happen. It might be more complicated. It probably will be a bit more complicated, but it's not going to be impossible. The business of coronavirus as well is going to make universities and everything a bit more complicated. But I think, as we've seen here, some universities say they will be normal in September. Others, if you're looking at Cambridge University, say they'll be all online, and everything else is in between. So we just don't really know. But the good point is that the universities are very worried about losing students. So it's what we call a buyer's market at the moment. So if you're looking for a university place now in another country, but maybe even in this country, then they're worried about losing students. If they lose students, they lose customers, they lose money. So they're making some good offers. And you can ask for scholarships and grants. And actually, obviously, if you don't ask, you don't get. But they're giving some big financial discounts at the university now because they don't want to risk losing staff or even disappearing some of the universities, because some of them don't have lots of money. Some of the old ones do. So it's a good time. It's not a time to worry, especially about I need to stay at home because of the virus.
Right. Mr. Day, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So I've been seeing that some universities and some schools are doing like 1 week, like half of the class can go to school for 1 week and the other half is doing it online, and then the next week like they swap. Do you think this would be something that would be implemented in EAC, or would you opt for the all online classes?
Well, at the moment we are doing everything online because that's our only choice.
No, I mean in September.
In September? Who knows? It's a good question.
Who knows, right? Who knows?
There are more questions than answers, I'll tell you. It could be. It could be. It's not going to be 650 students in school on the 1st of September. That's pretty sure. But what it will look like, we will see. We don't know. But we've done a very good online model. It works. Here we are, online. And to be honest, as Mr. Xavier Prats was saying the other day in his talk, much of the use of technology that we have now, suddenly doing conferences like this, is something we were going to do one day, and we knew we could do it. But suddenly we've been forced to use it fast. And these conferences are amazing because you wouldn't get 50 people to talk to, I'm sorry guys, you wouldn't have 50 people to come to listen to you in school, but they listen to you online. Okay?
Yeah.
They can be at home, they can be in the office, they can be in the garden. It doesn't take 1 hour to go to school, 1 hour to listen, and another hour to go home, but it's a very kind of maximized use of time. And this technology is reaching a long way. So I do think we have potential. And maybe in the future, we can have some small groups of alumni who've done technology or science or business or humanities to talk to some of our students in class, because they're quite shy. SO3, 4 and BAT students, as you see, they're not that many here. But they will watch this, some of them, and I think we could set up some groups like that, using the technology in a faster way than we'd originally planned. So, but we're already online, we're there, we're cutting edge, Alejandro.
I wanted to ask about the IB exams this year. May exams have been cancelled, right?
Yes.
So are they going to be delayed to September? No, oh no, they were in November, right?
Taking the IAs and the written assignments and the other tasks, and
yeah, they're taking internal components and externally marked components like the IOCs, IOPs, and these to give students a grade. They will also look at the past results in our school, how well Mr. Day predicted English A marks in the past, things like that. So
well, that's amazing.
I mean, it's a very unclear area for this year. So I mean, some of them might feel like they're lucky not doing exams, but you who actually did the exams, I don't know if you would prefer not to do them after.
But if they're getting passed with the predicted grades, that's really good, because predicted grades usually they're higher.
Well, yeah, but they won't suddenly have 95% getting 7s. Okay, they have sophisticated big data behind it, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anna.
I was going to ask, are you expecting the IB to be very harsh with predicted grades?
I cannot say for sure because I'm not the IB. What I know is that they've warned schools not to be too generous with predicted grades, because that would be banned as malpractice, like plagiarism or something like that. So I mean, they warned schools like that already. So I'm guessing, I don't think they will look at them harshly, but they will try to, as Mr. Day was saying, there's a lot of calculation and data going to be put together. And obviously someone who's got a very poor IA and has a predicted of 7, there's something fishy in there.
Yeah.
And if somebody says I was going to put all my work into the final exams, well, I'm afraid that story doesn't really work. But you know, and it says you never know what's going to happen, so you have to work on a consistent basis throughout the. You'll see, and the universities will cope with that as well.
And also, if they've marked all the IAs this year,
all of them.
All of them. So not only they didn't take them for moderation, they're taking all the IAs. I mean, there's a better, they can get a better idea of the students' level and performance.
We will see.
Yeah, that's a lot of work for the IB people.
Well, I bet, but they've put many examiners who were supposed to mark papers into marking IAs. So in the end, it balances off.
Yeah, because the examiners haven't got exams to mark, so they mark.
I don't have exams this year to mark.
Are you marking IAs?
No, I didn't get any IAs, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, now you have more free time.
Well, I can be busy with other things.
Any other questions from anybody? Any parents like to ask anything? Students? Can I just ask you, out of interest, What's your speciality in the kitchen? Nuria, what's the best thing you cook?
Salmon
Really?
and rice.
Salmon and rice, okay.
Yeah.
Anna?
Chicken with verduritas. I don't know.
Okay. Alejandro?
Salteadas.
I can make a really good bolognese. That's for sure.
These are typical student dishes. Axel?
Maybe like couscous with veggies.
Couscous with vegetables.
Wow.
She's vegetarian. Shika, do you cook?
Yeah, I've learned lots of new Indian dishes.
Indian dishes. Oh, fantastic.
My favorite.
Then what do you cook in Barcelona?
Well, I mostly make salads and soups, so that's yeah. That's it.
And Jama, your specialist dish?
Nothing. I try to cook whatever I can.
A mixture of everything.
On fried eggs, I do pretty much fried eggs, but everyone can do them, so I don't think that's much.
Jama, do you spend a lot of time in laboratories?
Half of depends on the week, depends on the term. I spend more time working on some molecules and chemistry labs during the first term, and then on the second term I work more biochemistry and protein labs, but at the end of the term, before the coronavirus outbreak, the COVID outbreak. So depends on the term, but yeah, you have to go to the labs, and then you do quite a lot of well labs. But it's an engineering course, so you don't do as much labs as you would do in a biomedicine or a biochemistry or a biotechnology undergraduate.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else do any very practical things in their degree?
Well, what do you mean by practical exactly?
Not just books, not just library and study.
Yeah, I do a lot of creative projects. Right now, I'm working on a vehicle for a video game, and I've had to model everything and texture. And it's a lot of what I'm studying right now is a lot of work, a lot of hours in front of the computer, as it's obvious. It's just dedication, imagination, and yeah, pretty much.
Is anybody planning on an Erasmus year or a year in another country?
Yeah.
Anna?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, my undergraduate is with modern languages, so you automatically have to do your third year abroad, either studying at a university that does the language you're doing. Not that it does it, so in a country that speaks the language you're studying, or doing an internship in a country that speaks that language.
Where might that be for you?
I mean, if I can, I'm thinking Quebec instead of France, because I've been in Europe in a few different countries already, so I'd like to go abroad.
Jama, do you say you wanted to go abroad?
Quebec.
Oh.
Sorry, Jama?
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, I like to. There is a program to go to the MIT, but then you have to compete against other students in order to get the place. So I'll try that. If not, I'd like to go to Switzerland, to where how was she? I remember. Yeah, so yeah.
You're studying physics, I think, in Lausanne. Okay, opportunities. Axel, your course gives you a year abroad?
Both sides of my course give me a year abroad. So for Hispanic studies, which is like ANA, which is modern languages, for me, like particularly because of my degree, it's not compulsory to do the year abroad, but it's recommended that I do it. So I can do it in any Spanish speaking country. And then for the global sustainable development side, we have the opportunity to do term 2 and 3 next year in Malaysia or Australia, but I didn't apply for that. So, yeah.
Why not?
Because it's just I wasn't interested in what it was, because it was just the courses that were offered in the university there, and then also it's only term 2 and 3, so it's like 4 months, and I feel like that's not enough time to really make the most of your time there, so I decided not to apply.
Any more questions? Okay, well, it's nearly 6:30, so I think we'll leave you to go and see your families, have your dinner, do your studies, whatever you're doing. Thank you so much again. It's been great to see you. It's really, really fascinating listening to you. And we hope to see you again soon. And you'll be able to watch yourself on our YouTube channel very soon.
Embarrassing.
Now YouTubers.
Not at all. You've been brilliant. So thank you very much for making the effort.
Okay.
Thanks to you.
Thank you very much.